In the strongman world, I mean, or even outside of strongman world, who was inspiring you to like, who was you looking up to at the time?
So when I obviously grew up, obviously Marius was a big kind of influence for me. Fast, strong, fit guy. Won World's Strongest Man 5 times. Uh, excuse me. Brian Shaw was a big influence for me as well. He just kind of oozed professionalism with the sport. I think he took it to another level in terms of his focusing on minute details in terms of training and competing. Outside the sport, a lot of heroes. I respected guys like Martin Johnson, like ferocious competitor, wanted to win absolutely everything. A tough guy, a real workhorse. Not the most gifted in terms of kind of skill level on the rugby field, but Jesus, he gave absolutely everything. He literally blood, sweat, and tears were left on the field every time he played. So huge respect for him and the career he had. And guys like Michael Jordan as well, obviously very popular with the Last Dance that's come out recently. You see the insight into him, and I just respect the fact that he would win at all costs. Absolutely win at all costs. He wanted to win every time and just be the best he could be. And the fact that it wasn't all titles for him when he started out. He didn't win for a long time before he got that kind of first title, NBA title.
We spoke about this before about like sort of the marketability. Someone like Michael was like, he had that for sure, but like the thing that he really had to get those titles was that sort of mindset that he had. Do you have that mind? That mindset, that win at all costs.
Yeah. I think I've now, in the most recent couple of years, I've more developed it than I was. I don't think before I wanted to win every time I went onto a rugby field. Because I was used to it, and then when I came into strongman, it kind of maybe backed off a little because I was still novice to it. But now I've got to a point where I'm at the top of my game. Yeah, I want to win every time I compete. It's not about settling for kind of second best, and that's something that I've actually developed. So it's not. I don't necessarily think it's something you're kind of born with the whole time. Especially if you switch sports, I think you do develop it when your sporting prowess improves as well.
Would you call it an obsession?
Yeah, 100% it's an obsession. My whole life revolves around strongman. Absolutely everything I do, to the point where when I'm moving house, I'm picking out a house that is going to be able to put a gym in that I can train. Who does that? Like, people look at like schools or what the neighbourhood's like. I was just looking at a space with a double garage so I could put a gym in, and everything in terms of all my purchases and stuff, is always focused towards strongman. I don't go out and party. I don't play computer games. It's all everything towards being the best at my sport.
So, being selfish, usually people think of like a selfishness to not sort of do anything for other people. But I feel that what you're doing by your actions is inspiring other people. Is there another sort of level to it where you are thinking about that kind of, inspiring people, putting your best foot forward for other people, leaving sort of a legacy and a foundation for other people as well?
Yeah, I mean, I never thought of myself as something that people look up to. In all honesty, I'm just a guy competing and doing what I love and being paid to do it, which is fantastic. It's only more recently that I've actually spoken to the fans and interacted with them more that I realised that it's a bit more of a big deal than I originally thought. So I just try every time I kind of chat to people to make sure I'm polite, and I talk to them and they have a good interaction with me. I never thought about being a good role model. I just live my life, and if I'm a good role model to someone, then that's brilliant. I'm just 100% genuine. I'm not going to change who I am to try and live up to what someone's expectation might be. But it's working so far. I think people kind of respect what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, more importantly. And long may it continue.
Just on the dedication thing as well. Just the eating thing. We were talking about eating. Would you just talk us through sort of like getting to the point where you are force feeding it, like that sort of like where that dedication comes into it as well?
I guess this is where I probably kind of connect to a lot more of the public than some of the strongmen out there. I think of myself as a normal guy. I'm not 6'8". I'm not naturally walking around at 400 pounds. If I didn't force feed, I'd probably drop back to kind of 17 stone. Maybe like 110 kilos or something like that. But I have to kind of work hard on all my training and my nutrition, and to the point where my last meal that I'm kind of putting in, I'm just sitting there for ages trying to force it down to make sure I get every last bit of nutrition I can to make sure I'm pushing my body weight up so that I'm competitive on certain events. You know, it's hugely important. And if I skip a meal, I'll lose weight. I know that and I think that, so I make sure I never skip a meal. Whether that's, you know, just a quick shake or whether it's a full sit down kind of steak, rice, veg, you know, I try and make sure I never miss those meals because I know it's going to impact me down the line. But yeah, it's not fun, and once again I'm fortunate that my partner Amy kind of understands that and she can just go off and clean the kitchen and stuff while I'm just sitting there trying to chow down my last meal at like 9 o'clock.
I mean, that's a wicked block to have in. If I skip a meal, I'll lose weight.
Yeah.
Like, is that the case, or have you implemented that's going to happen, or?
No, it will happen. Yeah, because most of my meals are around 1,000 calories. So you know, at the moment I'm having kind of just under 7,000, 6,800 calories at the moment. So if I suddenly drop to 5,800, it's huge. And we couldn't work, myself and my nutritionist, we couldn't work out why that was. So we actually got my kind of basal metabolic rate tested. So I got hooked up to a spirometer and I stayed perfectly still, and they measured how many calories I'll burn in a day if I just stay completely still. So this is just without any exercise or anything like that. It turns out I'll burn 2,803 calories if I stay still. So every time I'm eating, I've got to get to that level first, and then I've got to eat the calories that I burn off from moving, and then I've got to eat the calories that are actually then going to grow the muscle. So it's a constant battle with food, trying to make sure, you know, that I get the calories in. And when you're having kind of 1,000 calorie meals, you miss one, that's a sixth of your diet gone. Suddenly you're going to be dropping weight.
So one of the other things that you used to do as your career was you was a sports, what's it called?
Strength and
conditioning coach. Sorry, went on my head. Strength and conditioning coach. With that, like I used to have a strength and conditioning coach. He's a really intelligent guy, and he was like really minute on every detail. Is that something you've carried through, sort of? And also with that, like, how important is it for athletes, especially, just to have a basic understanding of their body?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's one of my big advantages is the fact that I've been a coach for a long, long time. I've always been my coach as well. I've coached myself, I've programmed for myself, and you know, I'll plan out my training for World's Strongest Man as soon as World's Strongest Man the previous year is done. So my training cycle started as soon as World's Strongest Man finishes. I literally sit there in my hotel room and plan out my training. You know, I know exactly what I need to be doing and what weights I need to be hitting before those competitions. And yes, there's some guesswork. I don't know when competition dates are. But once they get sorted, then I stick to plan. And I think that's one of the most important things with strength training is sticking to a plan and not deviating from that plan. And that's one of the things that, you know, I've developed over the years working with rugby players is making sure everything's the same, everything's efficient. There's no kind of wasted energy because we've only got a limited amount of time you can train. You've only got a limited amount of big lifts in your lifetime, so make sure you're doing it at the right time is hugely important. Planning
for success as well, like just normal. Do you think that's important?
Definitely. You need to, not just planning for success. It's easy to go, oh, I want to deadlift 502 kilos, but you have to also know, okay, in next year I need to be able to deadlift X amount. This session I need to be able to deadlift X amount. You know, break it down that way. So it's like I said, it's like building a ladder. Okay, if you build a ladder without any rungs, it's just two poles, you're not going up in the air. Okay, but each rung on that ladder is a step that you need to know to be able to climb up to that goal you've got, which is hugely important, because if you don't, then you're always going to be kind of just trying to jump and reach as opposed to climbing.